The problem is the monopoly game, which is controlled by the Federal Reserve, the private bank, which is actually controlled out of London, is manipulating all the dollars to put them out, put more and more people into debt. So the illusion of equity they have in real estate is coming apart. The players that are analyzing everything are expecting massive foreclosures next year and the beginning of what we call the recession it's going to be worse than 29. It's your house that you're living in. You think you own it. You don't.
Right.
You have contractual right to transfer the airspace, subject to you paying taxes to the state.
Right.
Or the Global 2000 discussions that we had. The real problem that they have, as Kissinger says, is there are just too many people on the planet. And 40% of the world, 2 billion of us, exist on less than $2 a day. The summary of the Global 2000 report I put up on my website, nohoax.com, but if you look at it, it makes sense to get rid of people. So what they said, they're going to make godlike decisions on who lives and who dies. Now, obviously, some of the meetings we sat on, we were planning on using neutron bombs on the major cities, because that contains most of what they call...
You actually heard this?
I sat in on the meetings. I was in the game big time. In fact, I was making such a mess, they decided rather than kill me, which they could, they just invited me into the inner group and asked me to be the finance chairman. And at that point, I probably would have been in, Secretary of the Treasury or something, whatever they wanted to do with me. What I was doing prior to that, so, making it right, I would volunteer to become a president of a company, and I'd go in and liquidate it. And we get rid of the expendable containers. That was my job.
Expendable containers meaning human beings?
That's right.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's
well, that was
the
the terminology.
vernacular, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh, well, that's what we used at that time. I mean, it went from there to useless eaters today, so you're happy with it, you're a human resource. So, which, all you are is part of the commodity, even in the business sense. You look at it, you have a cost. Labor, what is labor?
Yeah.
Human resource.
Right.
When you're going to put together some kind of product. Well, the inside of the game, when we started to use neutron bombs, today they figure that biologicals are much cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
They're still planning on, the plan is to get a war started in the Middle East. And they're still planning on using a neutron bomb, or one of the bombs that they've got developed on Israel. Mm-hmm. And that's to begin World War III, which is all in the cards. And it's going to happen. They even put a monument up to this whole program. It's called the Georgia Guidestones. Outside of Atlanta, know. And they've got it all set down there. It's all in 8 languages. Basically, it's fait accompli as far as they're concerned. It's just to get the thing going in the Middle East, and it's not going fast enough. I mean, Carter put this thing in, so we have the Plan 2000, with the war starting in the year 2000 in the Middle East.
Right.
Reduce the population of the planet down to 500 million, have one world currency under the Homeland Security, or FEMA if you want to call it. They're going to declare an emergency, which are going to shut down everything. My friends, my CIA associates, I don't even call them friends anymore. CIA is crooks in action.
Yeah.
They're all professional liars.
Yeah.
I mean, they got to be if they have that job.
Yeah.
So you have to look at what they're doing. Anyway, they're so concerned, they're leaving the country too. Most of them are going to Latin America. Meanwhile, they're closing in every day right now, just closing in to make it so that we're going to be set up in these enemy prisoner war camps. I published a book. It's called Chaos in America. In it, I was asked to build an enemy prisoner war camp. I put the contract in this book. So you can read it for yourself. This is in downtown Las Vegas, right on the railroad tracks. It says enemy prisoner war camp. They're all on top. And they're building them all the way across the United States right now. Bush signed an executive order taking the old forts and the army places that we shut down to get those organized to hold the so-called dissidents. Now, what's the definition of a dissident? And the problem is that we're going to enslave ourselves, because most of the people want to keep having food coming in, and you're going to follow the line. You're just walking yourself into your own prison camp. Then we're going to come down to the extermination, just like World War II.
Right.
Well, Phil and I have lectured together. I know Phil Snyder. He's dead now.
Yeah, I know he's dead. And so what about what he was saying about the number of bases at that time? I think it was 129 bases before he died. Underground had already been built. Is that all for the elite?
Yeah.
Really?
What are they going to do with the rest of the people? They just get rid of them, leave them above ground and be radiated. Now, my son happens to be a nuclear physicist. Spent the last 3.5 years in a secret city in Russia. They're about 12 years ahead of us. They have 22,000 nuclear warheads. And of course, we're the target. The Soviets had 3 nuclear submarines on the west coast and 3 on the east coast. They're about 2 football fields in length, 5 stories tall, and they all are nuclear power and aimed at our major cities. West Coast gone. Well, because the plan is the northern hemisphere is where they're going to release the nuclear bombs, and the theory was that the winds from the North Pole that are coming down, because that's increasing drastically, will go to the equator, and there will be very little spillover because of the reverse of the winds, because of the southern hemisphere. So therefore, the nuclear radiation here will be a lot more than the southern hemisphere.
And this is a fait accompli, you believe?
Oh, they think so. Oh, yeah, they think they've won. That's the reason why they don't bother about me talking about it. They don't care whether you know or not. What are you going to do about it?
Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles of GMS, and salutation to the Akim out there pushing this truth and sincerity throughout the 4 corners of the earth. What you just seen is an insider by the name of George Green, who pretty much is telling exactly what the elite has planned for the population on the planet. Because like he says, they believe that they are useless eaters. And if you read the Bible, it says the same thing, that the devil is going to come down with great wrath. So with that being said, I came across a couple of articles just to back everything what this individual is saying, as well as correlating it to the Holy Scriptures. All right. So I'm just going to get into it. This is the Central Intelligence Agency website. You can look it up yourself. In February 1st of 2000, the NIC chairman gave a speech at the Smithsonian Associates they call it the campus on the mall. And what the title says is NIC chairman, the CIA, and the New World Order. Now, let me just zoom up a little bit just so you can see it. I'm not going to read all of it. I copied and pasted certain key points just to let you know what's going on. But first, before I go in, I just want to give you a quick scripture. This is Obadiah chapter 1, verse 6. How are things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? All right. And the true men of the Lord, mainly of GMS, okay, we hear the prophets. We're going to search the matter out, okay, just like the scripture says. All right. And right here, you can see that the CIA already has everything locked and stepped according to their agenda. So I'm going to just pull up key points from the article. You can read it yourself. I'll post it on the YouTube. Okay. It says, quote, today's tough challenges such as North Korea, Iraq, Iran, and Syria may well be transformed tomorrow into opportunities for constructive engagement. But as a rule, in areas not effectively integrated into the world economy, disaffection will grow as both economic development and investment in people lag behind. Terrorism and weapons of mass destruction programs will, to some degree, reflect such a disaffection and pose threats to American citizens, soldiers, territories, allies, and global interests. Quote-unquote bad actors on the world stage. You notice how the CIA use certain terminology like bad actors, world stage, because like this guy Green said, this is a game to them. Okay, this is a movie to them. Okay, but if you're spiritual, you know this is the Most High's movie, and they're just working the left hand side. Often motivated by ethnic hatred and revenge, and with allegiance to no state. Notice that. It says right here, bad actors on the world stage often motivated by ethnic hatred, so that's racial, and revenge with allegiance to no state. Now, if you're an Israelite, okay, and if you are claiming to be an Israelite, right now we don't have no state, okay? We don't have no place to go to right now because, first of all, our lands are inhabited by the Gentiles or the heathens, okay? And we know America is not our place of rest. So we're definitely part of the CIA's talking points. And They're watching us constantly. All right. With increasingly, Salakia will increasingly have ready access to critical information. See critical information, to technology, to finance, and to and to deception and denial practices. Little guys with less than the state-of-art weapons will be able to do us harm. End quote. All right, and that's of course us as those in the truth. We're not gonna raise up until the Most High comes, but you have 2/3 Jake that is going to be bugged out, and they're going to start going against the establishment. So they're already keeping tabs on you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, whether you like it or not. All right, as well as what you see right now with this ISIS situation and all these so-called terrorist attacks within the United States of America. So I'm going to continue on. There's another key point I want to get to. Also, Green talked about the economy. So I'm going to bring up this once again, so you're not forgetting. All right. This is from the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency website. So you can pull it up yourself. Okay. NIC chairman, the CIA in the New World Order. The CIA in the New World Order, intelligence challenges through 2015. Okay. And what I'm about to show you, you're already seeing like this has come to fruition. Like this is already happening. The remarks by John C. Gannon, chairman, National Intelligence Council, to the Smithsonian Associates campus on the mall. All right. So let's get back to the key points. Quote, market liberalization and economic growth will, over time, include more women in modern economic and mainstream social activity. Well, we've seen that. That's what we see to this day, always uplifting of the woman. I mean, it has gotten so bad, all right? So, now mind you, this was written in 2000. So, this is 15 years later. The CIA has not missed a step. Although this process will lag in traditional Islamic societies. Here's a bulletin. Disparities within societies will increase in almost all countries, which we're seeing now. The wealthy and well-educated will get richer, while the poor will get poorer, with the middle classes moving toward one of the other group. Hence, you're seeing it right now. You can go on CNN, Fox News, those mainstream media. They're telling you, they're telling you straight to your face that the middle class is over with. All right, that the average American only has $1,000 in their savings account. Okay, the Social Security Administration themselves said the half of America are only taking in less than 30,000 a year. So this is already happening, and the CIA predicted this in, once again, the early 2000s. The other bulletin point, it says, in the globally wired world, the persistence of poverty amid wealth will become more striking, and uneven distribution of wealth becomes more visible. Discontent will increase, particularly among the 600 million relatively poor urban dwellers in developing countries whose aspirations will exceed their economic prospects. Meaning that they were deceived by the system. They thought that they could take out all these loans, go to college, okay? And then now it's backfiring on them, and they're noticing that they're not getting up in the status of making more money than they were led to believe. Okay, continue on, it says, quote, volatility will be a major downside of global economic integration. All states will become more vulnerable to shocks and disruptions. These shocks could take several forms, including a major disruption in the global energy market stemming from political instability in the Persian Gulf, which we're seeing to this day. Iran, Saudi Arabia, okay, we're noticing them getting riled up, okay. It says a major U.S. stock market correction, which we're seeing right now. Just go turn on the news, CNBC, because of what's going on with China, all right, and it's affecting America, which would have a significant impact on the world economy, which it has, or another major financial crisis in developing world. Oh, let's bring this back. Remember, this came out in 2000, the 2008 housing bubble crisis that kicked off. So they predicted this way before all this happened. All right. And last part I'm going to get to is, as you may know, last year the NIC published and declassified a national intelligence estimate on the worldwide ballistic missiles threat. Okay, we project that during the next 15 years, the United States will face an ICBM threats from Russia, China, and North Korea. Whoa, we're in 2016. We're already seeing this already happening. Okay, we're seeing Russia, China, and North Korea bucking up. All right, we go on to projects that the U.S. probably will face an ICBM threat from Iran and possibly from Iraq. Okay, we said that the arsenal of news missiles powers will be dramatically smaller, less reliable, and less accurate than those of Russia and China. So they knew. So the CIA knows that America's weaponry is not going to be as advanced as Russia and China. And didn't this individual? Let me just get back to the picture, so because Jake, they have a hard time forgetting what's going on. Didn't this individual say? George Green said that Russia's already advanced about 15, 20 years. Okay? And the CIA knows this. So, all you so-called black Hispanics and Native Americans that are sitting on the fence, straddling the fence, you ain't got much time, man. Okay? Because this agenda is set. The CIA already knows. They're already letting it already move to their agenda, which the main focus of this whole read down is depopulation, okay? Extermination of you Israelites, okay? And the heathens, because Esau don't even give a damn about his own people. And last, nonetheless, the probability that a missile armed with chemical or biological weapons may be used against U.S. forces or interests is higher today than during most of the Cold War. More nations now have longer range missiles, and war has armed with weapons of mass destruction. And that is true, because according to the scriptures, all right, you're going to see a mass nuclear genocide, okay, so to speak, on a lot of people on the globe. And so let's get back to the scriptures so that you can just see that the Lord is talking about this. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. All right, we know the devices. Okay, the mass extermination, the ICBM that's coming, which is prophesied in the Bible. Okay, John 10:10. The thief cometh not but to steal and to kill and to destroy. Okay, and I am come that they may have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. And that's talking about the elect of the 12 tribes, you so-called black Hispanics and Native Americans, who said, I'm not so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American. I'm an Israelite. I come from one of these tribes, and I'm going to go out and do the work. Rather be making videos, as well as going out in the highways and byways throughout the year. I mean, this should be in your passion, so to say, okay? Every Saturday you should go out there and preach this word, okay? Because at the end of the day, all right, well, why do you want to live in a society that's already setting you up for your fate? Okay, this CIA is ready to go to kill you people, man. Let's continue on. So now I want to go to NASA. So here's another government entity. So you can't say that, oh, well, maybe the CIA, they say that they're professional liars. What about NASA? NASA came out by the year 2025, Future Strategic Issues, Future Warfare. The future is now, as they say. Warfare Strategy Document, the future is now. Chief Scientist Dennis Bushnell, okay? And I'm just going to get to the key points. Let me blow this up so you can see. Page 4, you can read, the presentation is based in all cases upon existing data, trends, and analyst technologies, robots, cyborgs, and humans, okay? Page 9, humans have taken over and vastly shortened evolution. All right. Page 66, increasingly critical human limitation, downsize, large, heavy, tender, slow, physically, mentally. Okay. So the NASA's already creating a database, and this came out. What year did this come out? July of 2001. They printed this out. So this was in 2001 again, all right? This was way before September 11th, that all this was already documented. It's already on the books. They already have everything set to go. And what I'm getting at is that the federal government is setting up for mass extermination here in America and abroad, all right? And that's the will of the Illuminati. The Illuminati is allowing this to happen because they want to bring down the population, okay? So you can get into that. I want to see if there's anything else. I did look. What is apparently illegal? Microwave, RF, anti-functional, anti-personal weaponry, chemical, anti-functional weaponry, chemical, psychological effects, chemical personnel, incapacitation, weaponry, warfare, terrorism, war, acoustic weaponry. Oh, what's the acoustic? Hey, when you Jake want to ride against the establishment, they're gonna use those loud noises to disperse the dissonance. Okay, the acoustics as they call it, and that's on those MRAPs that the military police is walking around through America, and you've seen it in Ferguson and in Baltimore. All right, and last but not least, this is we'll hit it home. Okay, this website is deagle.com. Now this is a military inventory website, and basically what this website does, it gathers all military weapons, tanks, armor, you name it, from land, sea, and air. It's like a database, and from all around the globe, and you see who's purchasing what, and you see who is investing or whatever. And you could read down here. This is January 17th. Your 6 robotic mine clearance vehicles enter service with Russian Army, Israel Armed Forces, so on and so forth. But that's not my point. But my point is that they got the elite have a website where investors go in and they see, okay, what can I invest in the market, because this is one of the websites that they use. This is an inventory, okay? But I want to get into the other info, which you can scroll down, which is called the countries. Okay? All right. And let me read that. And, I love reading this scripture one more time. John 10:10. The thief cometh not but to steal and to kill and to destroy. Okay? And you're going to see why. That the so-called white man, Esau, okay, who you would call today the Illuminati, okay, the elite, and these average Edomites too, because they have death in their heart, are about to come down and do a mass slaughter on you so-called black, Spanish, and Native Americans who don't want to get right, who don't want to come to your true power. All right, so let's go back. So this is the population, all right? And they have a forecast. If you look up here, let me see if I can zoom up on this. Oh, beautifully. You can go up here. It says 2025 forecast. All right. Now, if you notice, if you go to all the European or the so-called Edomite countries like Russia, Germany, Italy, majority of them are pretty much these Edomite countries. France, United States, they're projecting a mass depopulation by the year 2025. Okay, it says it right here. The year 2025. Okay, I'm just circling it around. Now let's go into the United States of America. This is what they're claiming. So right now in 2014, they're saying the population is 319 million. They say the gross domestic product is 17 trillion, which is what they supposedly produce. And anybody who has been paying attention to this government, what they majority produce is weapons, okay? That's all America is good for, is it distributing weapons. And that what gives them their purchasing power, okay? The military budget is $756 billion. Now, their projected forecast is by 2025, the population is going to come down to 65 million. That's less than 10 years from now that they're projecting the population of the United States of America to be 65 million. And the gross domestic product to be 882 billion. That's like a third world country, okay? That means that America is not going to produce anything, but probably those that make it, which are the elite, are hunting, if there is any land there is to hunt, because according to the scripture, this place is going to be annihilated, okay? Also, their military budget comes from a whopping 756 billion to 7.2 billion. That's it. That's what they're projecting. All right. So I'm going to get down to the key factor, the key points, so you can read with this population. All right. You could get into the military aviation, the sea power. So it shows you all the tanks, all the equipment, the military equipment that the United States government has. Okay. All their vehicles and everything. All right. But I'm going to read you this portion of what this website is confirming, all right? And I'll read this very slow to you, and after that, I'm going to read the last scripture, and then hopefully that'll be edifying for you, all right? There have been many questions about the country's forecast, especially the one focusing on the United States of America. They won't be answered one by one, but below you can find some explanations, thoughts, and reflections. We are going to keep this as short as possible. The majority of the economic and demographic data used in the making of the forecast is widely available by institutions such as the Central Intelligence Agency, the International Monetary Fund, the United Nations, and the United States government, etc. You can see the most relevant data at every single country's page. There is a tiny part of the data coming from a variety of shadow sources such as internet gurus, unsigned reports, and others. But all of these sources are from the internet and are of public domain for at least a minority. For example, several years ago, Dagang, the Chinese ratings agency, published a report analyzing the physical economy of the states, comparing it with those of China, Germany, and Japan. The conclusion was that the United States GDP, gross domestic product, was something between 5 to 10 trillion instead of 15 trillion, as officially reported by the United States government. We assume that the official data, especially economic, released by governments is fake, cooked, or distorted in some degree. That's right, because Esau is a serpent, okay? Esau, he is born to lie. There's a scripture that says in the book of Psalms, I believe it's 51. Let me just go find it real quickly. The Spirit came on me to give you another scripture. The book of Psalms. All right. Salakia. 51. All right. Oops. I think I spelled that wrong. All right. There we go. What the? Book of Psalms. There we go. Book of Psalms 51. Create me, cast. It's supposed to be. Or is it 50? It says the wicked are estranged from the womb. The wicked are estranged from the womb. 58 and 3. Salakia. 58 and 3. So, Book of Psalms 58 and 3. Alright. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they bore, speaking lies. And that's the so-called white man. Alright. So according to this article, that makes perfect sense. Because he lies in all his documents too. He falsifies documentation. Okay. So it goes on and says, we assume that the official data, especially economic, released by governments is fake, cooked, or distorted in some degree. Historically, it's well known that the former Soviet Union was making up fake statistics years before its collapse. Western, as well as other countries, are making up their numbers today to conceal their real state of affairs. We are sure that many people out there can find government statistics in their own countries that, by their own personal experience, are hard to believe or are so optimistic that may belong to a different country. Despite the numeric data quantity, there is a quality model which has not a direct translation into numeric data. 2014 strain of Ebola has a death rate of 50 to 60%, but try to imagine what could happen if there is a pandemic of Ebola with hundreds of thousands of millions infected with the virus. And that's what that guy Green said, that there's going to be more biological attacks, which is Ebola. Okay? So far, the few cases of Ebola-infected people have enjoyed intensive health care with antiviral and breathing systems, but above all, with abundant human support by physicians and nurses. In a pandemic scenario, the kind of healthcare won't be available for the overwhelming number of infected, leading to a dramatic increase of the death rate due to the lack of proper health care. The quality factor is that the death rate could increase to 80-90% in a pandemic scenario from the stated 50 to 60% rate. The figure itself is not important. What is relevant is the fact that the scenario can evolve beyond the initial conditions from a 50% death toll to more than 90%. By the way, no pandemic or nuclear war is included in the forecast. So, once again, this website's telling you that the CIA data is projecting is, but they're not giving you, what they're giving you is half truths with it. Hence why I read you the CIA that document from 2000, because those are their projections through the year 2015. Okay, so it's already the agenda, it's already set, and what that guy Green said is just going in. So basically, what the Illuminati's doing is that okay, we're gonna choose what's gonna kill them. Okay, but right now we have all these devices ready to go, and we'll just choose whatever fits our time frame and whatever pleases us the most. Okay. So, okay, and here's the last point, which is the key part I want to get to. The key elements to understand the process that the United States will enter into the upcoming decade is migration. In the past, especially in the 20th century, the key factor that allowed the USA to rise to its colossal status was immigration, with the benefits of a demographic expansion supporting the credit expansion and the brain drain from the rest of the world benefiting the states. The collapse of the Western financial system will wipe out the standard of living of its population while ending Ponzi schemes such as the stock exchange and the pension funds. The population will be hit so badly by a full array of bubbles and Ponzi schemes that the migration engine will start to work in reverse acceleration itself due to ripple effects, thus leading to the demise of the states. The unseen situation for the states will develop itself in a cascade pattern with unprecedented and devastating effects for the economy. Jobs offshoring will surely end, with many American corporations relocating overseas, thus becoming foreign corporations. We see a significant part of the American population migrating to Latin America and Asia, while migration to Europe, suffering a similar illness, won't be relevant. Nevertheless, the death toll will be horrible. Take into the account the Soviet Union's population was poorer than the Americans nowadays, or even then. The ex-Soviets suffered during the following struggle in the 1990s with the significant death toll and the loss of national pride. Might we say twice the pride, double the fall? No. The American standard of living is one of the highest, far more than double the Soviets, while having added a service economy that will be gone along with the financial system. When pensioners see the retirement disappear in front of their eyes and there are no servicing jobs, you can imagine what is going to happen next. At least younger people can migrate. Never in human history were there so many elders among the population. In past centuries, people were lucky to get to their 30s or 40s. The American downfall is set to be far worse than the Soviet Union's one, a confluence of crisis with a devastating result. All right? And ultimately, what's the devastating result? Those ICBMs is the final haymaker to take out this country and its wickedness. All right? So let's go back to the final scripture and where you can see that it's predicted in the Bible. Revelations 9, chapter 15 through 18. And the four angels were loose, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year for the slated third part of men. And that's talking about majority of these European countries, the Western countries, mainly the United States of America. Because the United States of America, just in case some of y'all forgot, all right, their population is going to drop dramatically from 318 million, okay, to 65 million by the year 2025. And we know that it's of the will of the Lord, so the will of the Lord can push this even quicker than 2025. But that's what the elite, the Illuminati, are projecting by the year 2025. Salakia, let me go back. Verse 16, and the number of army of the horsemen were 200,000, and heard the number of them. Verse 17, those are talking about the ICBM missiles, man. There's going to be so many of them, okay? Millions, all right? And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth, and of brimstone, And the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouth issued fire. That's talking about the nukes. And smoke and brimstone. Verse 18. By these three was the third part of men killed, by the fire, and by smoke, and by the brimstone, which issued out of their mouths. And that's the will of the Most High, because if you're not the elect of the Israelites, you're not of the elect of the 12 tribes of Israel, if your lineage doesn't go back to Jacob, okay, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and you don't come into this truth with sincerity and humble yourself and get out of Babylon, its philosophy, you're going to be part of this coming judgment. All right? So with that, I just want to give all praises once again to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, double honors to the apostles of GMS, and salutation to the Akim out there pushing this truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. Shalom.